Welcome to selfdiscoverymedia.com, where the orchard of wisdom shows are at your fingertips. It ignites your soul, your heart, your spirit, your mind, and your body with illumination from people who have made the journey before you. They're here now to help you on your journey, on your path of self-discovery. We are funded by you, the audience, and the people we interview. If you wish to support us, please go to selfdiscoverymedia.com and press on our Fund Action button. Anything is appreciated. We'd like you to sit back and enjoy the shows. Here we go. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Choose Positive Living right here on selfdiscoverymedia.com. I'm your host, Sarah Troy, and my guest today is Monty Ritchings. Is it Ritchings?
Ritchings.
Ritchings, there we go.
Yep.
Now, he's an author on many books that we're going to be talking about today, but we're also going to be talking about choose your beliefs. Are you being governed by your beliefs? Are old beliefs, old patterns, childhood patterns holding on to you? Are they operating your system in your life, he says. And it's why we need to reframe those childhood beliefs and look at as powerful as the beliefs are as we choose in adults. He's driven to provide the information, the tools to help others to grow to the best possible heights in life. He's an author, an environmentalist, an entrepreneur, a mystic, and he believes that we can only truly know ourselves by getting past ourselves through our relationships with nature and the universe. And he has been a member of the, how do you pronounce that?
Rosicrucian.
Rosicrucian Order for more than 40 years, and his studies include understanding how life works on a universal level and intuitive medicine. As an author, he focuses on whether to be fiction or non-fiction is about mind management, core beliefs, and working beyond the mundane world, supporting us to be so much more than just limited beings that we are presented as. Limited beings. Now, you said something before we started there, who decided who were the supreme creatures in the world, and to which you replied humans, because they're the only ones that voted. And it really is questionable in many of our choices that if we are the supreme beings, why do we make the choices we make? But an awful lot of that comes from programming, past life programming, ancestral programming, life programming, the beliefs that we're brought up with. I mean, you get stuck in a rut of patterns. And instead of questioning those patterns, are they serving me? Are they really what I think? Can I take control over my own thoughts and my own patterns? We get stuck in those old beliefs, don't we? Welcome to the show, Monty.
Yeah, Sarah, good morning. The biggest challenge I find to the thing about being stuck in our beliefs is I'm the kind of person that I observe people. I watch and I can see how they interact, and lucky me, I can actually watch them on energy level. So I can see when there's things going on. And the thing that I really notice about most people is they don't even know they're stuck.
Right.
You can't fix something if you don't know it's broken.
Right.
And unfortunately, the society that we live in, as far as we have evolved at this point, is that it benefits society. It benefits society for us to stay dumb.
We covered this on a show yesterday. There are certain members of society that kind of take pride in not knowing anything. Right.
Yes, and we call them politicians.
Yeah, those that follow them.
Did I say that?
I'm right with you. And that anybody who actually does have an education or has specialized in something or bothered to learn something, they're elitists or, and they're not to be believed. And I'm not quite sure where this division came from, but, social media and shoot stirrers are abundant these days. And, people like to pull the strings and manipulate people and their thoughts. And how do they do that? They press the fear button. And once you've got that fear button going, now you can control them in any way. Well, you've chosen to be afraid. You've chosen to be afraid. If take back your own ownership. Yes, now that there's certain things that are, oh, this is fearful action happening out there. What am I going to do about it? Not that I'm afraid and now I'm going to go down the rabbit hole and do anything that these strings tell me to do because I'm too scared to do anything about it.
I had a really interesting situation evolve. It was actually on Vancouver Island. It was in Ladysmith. I was driving truck over there, and I pulled into the Shell station at Ladysmith, and I was only driving at one time. It wasn't a very big truck. And I pulled in to fuel up, and I went in and I was chatting with the young girl that worked there, and she looked at me and she said, "You drive that big truck?"
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of looked over and I looked at my truck and I looked back at her, and I thought, that's not a very big truck. And she said, I would be so afraid
Mm-hmm.
to drive a truck like that. So okay, so the conversation finished and I went off, and I happened the next week I was back there and I had my 5-ton, and I pulled in and fueled up, and I walked in and she was there again, and I said to her, I said, can I say something to you that I hope will be a life lesson for you? And she said, okay, what's that? And I said, do you know why you feel fear about driving that 1-ton? And I'm pointing at my 5-ton. And she said, no. And I said, because the fear is telling you that you need more information.
Mm-hmm.
I said, if you really, really wanted to learn how to drive a truck, what would you do? She said, I'd go to a driving school.
Hello.
And I said, and what would the driving school do for you? It would help me to overcome my fear.
Mm-hmm.
I said, there's your answer to everything in life.
Everything. The thing is, we sell ourselves so short. I've always been a person that, I was the first mobile oil rep in South Africa for, selling the oil. I knew nothing about oil. And I realized I didn't need to know anything about oil. The companies knew what they liked and wouldn't like. It was customer service that I was doing. But I walked and talked myself into many a job. And I didn't know whether I could do it or not until I tried. Yeah. And there's some things, okay, I'm not cut out to be a secretary. Okay, I gave it a go. It didn't work. Let's go and try something different. But we put fear ahead of it. Oh, but what if I don't? What if I fail? What if that? But what if you succeed?
Yeah.
Right? Why can't we look at that first? What if I actually can make a go of it?
And one of the things that I've tried, I published my first book, Embracing the Blend, back in 2007. And one of the goals that I was looking for in it, and then the following book, Stamp Out Stress, was to provide people with a vehicle where, okay, so now you feel afraid. Okay, so that's not a stopping point. That's a starting point. So I feel afraid. Okay, so what are you going to do about it? Okay, first thing, recognize the fact that you feel afraid. It's cool. There's nothing wrong with feeling afraid.
No.
It's part of how our ego tells us we're alive.
Right.
Yeah. And so the next step is step back, calm yourself down, focus on your breath, and say, okay, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
Well, I provide some tools. How do you get there? And so it's not a case of, oh, I feel afraid, so I have to stop. No, it's I feel afraid. Take a deep breath and say, okay, what can I do to move forward from here? What is that fear telling me?
What do you need to know?
Yeah.
Because it's always, what is fear? It's a lack of knowledge.
Absolutely.
Right? When we have the knowledge, we know how to apply that knowledge. And we're no longer afraid of the situation. But it's the unknown that we're constantly afraid of.
Absolutely.
And let's face it, you're born, everything in front of you is unknown. Everything is to be discovered, right? Does a baby come out? Oh, I'm too scared. It wouldn't get anywhere. I have a 9-month-old grandson. Believe me, that fear isn't in his vocabulary.
No, let's hope it stays that way too.
Exactly.
And there's a part of our ego too that we have to recognize in there too, because it's the ego that manages fear. It's part of how it helps us to interact with the world. In that there are things that we should be afraid of.
All right. Yes.
I'm standing at the top of the cliff there at I forget what it's called, but at Squamish there, you're standing there looking over and you can see practically Vancouver Island. Yep, I'm afraid because I don't want to fall off of there. And my mind tells me to stay back. That's common sense.
That's instinctual fear, right?
Absolutely.
It's that you know, your body tenses up, the little hairs on the back of your head, you know, this is, hey, hang on. There's something to be afraid of here. What is it? Stop and deduce. Right?
Yes.
Don't
Yes.
leap at that point. But
Yes.
there's other things you can look at and you go, okay, I'm just afraid of the unknown. Let's take that leap of faith. All right. And I'll be okay. But you've got to make sure that you know that there is a certain amount of either safe landing.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Or that you can redirect if it doesn't work. You don't want to leap into something you can't get yourself out of.
Yeah. 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 I another truck driving thing I did. I used to run down to Seattle from Vancouver, and just south of Bellingham, there's a really windy section through there.
Yeah, I know that road.
And I used to barrel through there, and I would be so afraid going through there. And finally, one day, I have a number of spirit guides that I work with, and so one day I'm barreling through there, and I screamed out, "Why am I so bloody afraid going through this corner?" And my driving guide, his name is Dave, of all things, he says, "You could always try slowing down."
Common sense. Yeah. I drive down to Nanaimo all the time because that's where my daughter and grandson live. And you're going through the Malahat. And before, you know, I kind of did that drive, everybody, oh, the Malahat, oh, the Malahat. And it's like, Malahat. You know, and it was like, okay, what's this Malahat? And I started driving it and I go, okay, I'm through it. What's the to be scared of? And you know, I said, I'm not coming down if there's snow. I went down in the snow. And it's again the common sense. What you end up with is the people in their trucks, you know which ones, the pickup trucks, up your backside. And it's like, when I can move over, I'll let you go because you're clearly in a bigger hurry than I am. All right. And they've just got to strut their stuff, you know, it's their identity. But I always seem to get back 15 minutes earlier than I do when I go. And it's the same distance. I never worked that one out. But
it's more downhill.
True. Yeah, that could be the point. Yes. But I drove through it on Christmas Day when the snow was out there. And it was beautiful. And then coming back, all the little waterfalls had frozen into ice. Yeah. And it was absolutely exquisite. And I know the road you're talking about going to Seattle. It's very, very well. And I've driven that during the snow as well. And the thing is, that comes into the common sense. You know that these particular areas at some points are a little tricky. So the common sense, slow down and be alert. Yeah. It doesn't say stop and turn around. It says be alert. Because when you're alert, you can react quicker, right? Mm-hmm. And that's the point of thing in life. Anything you're going to do, oh, I'm a little unsure about this. Or this is kind of, okay. So senses, get your senses going, tune in, ask your guides to help you, right? Help me through this bit because it's a bit tentative for me. And the thing is, we're never alone. If we tune in and ask our little guides to help us, they're very willing to guide us.
One of the techniques that I was given a number of years ago, and it was one of my guides gave it to me. So we have this set, well, I call it 9 major chakras because I count the star chakra above and the earth chakra below. So when information is input into us, it's invited in, it comes in through our crown chakra and then works its way through our body. The other chakras input information too, but in this particular case, you're looking at the information is coming in through your crown chakra. Well, what happens when we get ourselves into a situation like me driving too fast? What happens is the crown chakra closes. So that's where we get monkey brain from, because our world exists right here.
Right.
Nothing else matters, and we can feel it in ourselves that we're our bodies are out of control and we're anxious and whatever. And the technique for it, when we remember to do it, and this is something too that I've recognized in myself, and I see in other people. There's absolutely no point in having any tools in your garden shed if you don't ever get them out.
Hello.
So here's a really neat tool. First thing you do when you get really wound out like that is recognize that you're wound out. Take a deep breath. And what you do is take your right hand and put your thumb and first finger together and put it above your head and pretend that you're knitting a hat on your head. And very slowly circle your fingers around clockwise above your crown chakra. And then when you've done it enough, you just go boop and reconnect to the star chakra. And you can literally, I can feel it right now. It's gone right down. I feel it in my knees because it reopens the crown chakra up so the energy can get back in there. And it'll slow you down. And by habit, you're probably going to go back there again anyway. You go back and you do it again. And open it up. And if you're sensitive enough to the energies in your body, which most people aren't yet because we haven't trained them yet, is that you can actually do the same thing with all of your chakras.
Right, exactly.
If you're feeling that you're going spastic and you're getting your anxieties is going over the place, go to your adrenals. Do exactly the same thing. Open your adrenals back up so that energy can express out.
But the energy is essential to absolute everything. Everything is energy, and the more that we tap into that energy, the more we're in flow. The air isn't stagnant, the waters aren't stagnant, our blood and energy in our body and the oxygen isn't stagnant. Everything has to be in flow, in movement. And when it does come to a stop, you find us, stop breathing. And okay, panic. All right. And it's just let the breath out, let everything in your body breathe out, exhale it, and then breathe it back in. And I feel that when you cut off from the neck up, you are now only stuck in thoughts. And those thoughts are like a computer full of data, and you have no idea because there's no wisdom there to extract the data. And it's, but what if this, but what if that, but what if this, what if that? And that's how we get into panic and get into hysteria. I'm always a person to say, feel your thoughts. Yes. Because when you feel them, you know which energy is attached to them. Oh, that's a negative thought. Put that aside. Feel that thought. Oh, that feels good. I could go with that. Right. This is the thought. This is the solution to the problem at the moment. But we're so inclined to just be head, thinking that everything is there. And it's, as far as I'm concerned, it's just the CPU. It's just the computer that without the other senses, we don't know how to extract. I call it the knowingness. Is that when the gut knows, the spirit knows, the divine has spoken to you, you know its truth. It resonates with the heart. The heart knows this truth. It goes into spirit, into action, and the mind will know what it needs to know when it needs to know it. And that is that knowingness. And it's unquestionable, undoubtable. It just is. And when you're in that just is, you don't need any other clarification because that's what you need to know in the moment.
Yeah. And the two things that go with that is that we need to know when we're getting in the way, and we need to know how to get ourselves out of the way. And one of the critical things that I believe that people need to, it's a very simple thing. We don't breathe properly.
No, we don't.
The majority of people, if you say, take a deep breath for me, the only thing you see is their lungs move.
Yeah.
The problem with that is that most of the toxins that we maintain in our body sit in the bottom of our lungs.
Yes. And
if we only breathe from our lungs, we're not removing those toxins. So when we rebreathe again, we're sucking all that air right through all those toxins and goes back through our body again. So when we breathe, we need to be moving our belly because our belly causes the muscles in the bottom of the pleural cavity to force that part of the lungs to move, cleans that stuff out of there. You cannot relax properly if you're not breathing properly.
If you're an actress or a singer or an athlete, it's always the gut, breathe from the gut. Right?
Absolutely.
Let the stomach stick out and Drinking water, allowing the water to cleanse. Yes, lots of it every day. Yes. Yeah.
It's like you say, we are energy. Everything that exists is energy. And the two basic elements that we work with to create life are air and water.
Yes. Yes. And, I'm an air and water sign.
Which one?
Well, I'm air. I'm most certainly air. But water is extremely important to me. It's for me, trees, breeze, and water. They're my salvation. Yes. And I'm not a rooter. So it's always been extremely hard to lay down the roots because the air is always uplifting me and taking me somewhere else. The water is my conduit. It is my calmness. Anytime I'm near water, my tranquility is there. But I love walking amongst the trees and the rustling of the leaves. And it speaks to me in beautiful volumes. and generally tells me what I need to know and when I need to know it. So, but I'm not an earther, I'm not a grounder, partly because Earth keeps telling me, well, everybody stop grounding and give me your problems. I have a headache. Will you sort your problems out and stop giving them to me? And I think Mother Earth is in very much big trouble at the present moment, because all of our anger, all of our divide, all of our angst that we have right now, which is a vibration that resonates really poorly, just really is very, very negative. She's feeling, and she's rebelling, you know, with all the floods and everything else that we're having. We call it climate change, but she's just saying, I've had enough. I've had enough of humans spazzing. And it's like, will you please get it together? And we were talking before the show about COVID, about this pandemic. And yes, it's taken lives. Yes, it's changed lives. Yes, it's put a lot of strain on things, but let's look at the gift of what it is. And that is to put everybody to a stop and reevaluate their lives and look at what really is important. Who is really important? Slow down and tune back in to your own senses, your family, the people in your community, the unison, and realize we are a village wherever we are, and everybody in that village has a job to do. And that village is only as strong as when we come together. And we did that at the beginning of the pandemic, and we saw the people that were the glue that held us together. And then came the anti-vaxxers and the politicians and the this and that, and what of it, we're right back to splitting us again. And what happens with that? That it means more pain and anguish out in the world. And that static, that kind of energy is a destroyer. It does not create, it destroys.
There's no harmony.
No harmony at all. So how do you combat that? We have to work a little harder to become the harmony in our own lives, in our own arena. And not pay any attention, because if we could tilt the scale back into that harmony, the people that are in the angst either will give into the harmony or will go by the wayside. That is their choice. So
we have to believe in the light.
Yes.
We have to remember the light. And every time that we get into a really crappy situation, or the government does another idiotic thing, I'm not a pro-government person, by the way.
I could be on board with you there. I think it's kind of people generally with good intentions, but they're entering a sewage pit.
That's right.
And, you know, if you don't detox that sewage, then a good intention can be contaminated. That's how I look at politics. Yeah.
Well, and one of the big challenges that I'm very vocal with this, with young people in particular, instead of standing and complaining about the way that the government is doing stuff, or big business is doing, whatever it is that we're complaining about, step back and put some positive energy into it. Even if you say nothing, step back and project positive energy out through your heart. And say, we can do better. There's a better way of doing this. And particularly for younger people these days, because if you're not happy with the way the world is right now, if you don't do something about it, it's going to be way worse down the road.
Yes. My daughter and son-in-law, especially my son-in-law, suffers a great deal with the sorrow over the planet. They are vegan, they're activists. You know, they drive the electric car, you know, they try and do as much as they can to give back to the earth. And he weeps for the earth. And it's like, and I keep trying to say to him, but your anxiety, you know, bless you for caring. But if you build it up to such a point, you no longer can do anything for the planet, because you've become also part of the sickness.
Absolutely. Yes. What he should be doing is, rather than weeping for it, he should be going in quiet, seeing the sun and projecting energy to the earth.
Yes, I white light things, right? White light and loving energy. And when somebody says something nasty, bless you, you know, may love find you, you know, because what we don't want is the retaliation. You know, we don't want that response, because that just builds up more fireworks. So it is, you know, bless you or white light you, or just nothing at all to certain people, because I'm a firm believer that what you seed, what you water, what you nurture is what grows.
Yes.
Right. So be careful what you seed. how you water it, don't oversaturate it, water it enough, nurture it with loving energy. And when it grows, allow it to grow the way it's meant to grow. Don't dictate how it should grow.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's a big challenge that we have in society, is exactly what you said there, is that they're dictating, there's whoever it is dictating how we are going to do anything, and people buy into it. And I'm not saying go against them, because I had a really hard time with getting vaccinations. Being an intuitive healer, I understand my energy, and I'm an herbalist as well, so I know what supplements to take and all that.
Yes.
And I was over at a friend's place, and his brother and wife were there, and we were talking about COVID, and I said I wasn't vaccinated, and when they got up and left, they hugged everybody except me.
Right.
And I said right there, I said, I already alienate myself enough without COVID and all that sort of stuff. I want to be hugged. And the next day I was over in Nanaimo, where actually Parksville. I came home here and I made an appointment, and I went and got my shots done. And I knew that I could deal with whatever the shot was going to do, but I wanted to be hugged.
Yes.
And I knew that I needed to, and I'm not giving into it. I'm creating my life. I choose to do whatever I consider to be healthy, because one of the needs I have is I want to be hugged.
It kind of reminds me, I've asked God for help, and then God sends you the help. No, I'm not going to accept that. I'm waiting for God.
Yeah.
But God sent it to you in the form of a vaccine. Let's stop and think about it for a moment. How many countries came together to work together to bring this vaccine? Everybody was working on it in certain levels. And they put all of their heads together to bring out this vaccine, because it was a global concern. It is a global concern. And they worked together, cross borders, cross egos, cross patents, and worked together to bring us this vaccine. God answered you. He bought you something, and it's been proven that it strengthens the immune system. I have a lot of people that are in the alternative health industry, and they've chosen to build their immune system and strengthen themselves in their way. That they're not anti-vaxxers, government, and it's what did I hear the other day? Fauci created AIDS to get rid of the gays. So it's just like, okay, this one man created AIDS, this virus, just to get rid of homosexuals, and that people are truly and utterly believing in that. And it's like, why are you so quick to believe something that outrageous without you yourself deducing if it could be fact? Because people are out there they buy, and I think I call it the soap opera effect, where people will buy the drama and the hysteria because they want that whirlwind. They want that. I personally, as an empath, hate being in that hysteria and that tornado. It is so disruptive. But there are people, that's their adrenaline rush.
Well, it keeps them out of themselves.
Yes, they don't have to do any internal work. You can blame it. It's them. Hello, one finger's pointing out to them. How many fingers are pointing back at you? When are you going to take responsibility for you? Yeah,
that's exactly right. And so that's kind of where I've been in the writing cycle, is trying to produce information for that people would enjoy and find benefit from, and realize exactly what you're saying there, is that we have choice.
Yeah.
And our choice is, do I accept this foolishness that has no justification for its existence, or do we step back? We don't have to agree or disagree. We can just stand in the middle and say, you know what, I'm not playing in this game. This is foolishness. Let's just get on with it. It doesn't affect my life or life as I know it. I choose to believe that life is a great place to be, and I'm considering being a human being next time, just because I've watched so many of them, and it might be fun to do.
You've got it, kind of down now, so when you come back, you can get through all the bull S.
That's right. I'm going to try and
get
do
on
it
with it. Yeah, exactly.
And so people, you know, this is that we're living in now is likely the first generation of people in this, in the Rosicrucians, they say this is the 5th time that human beings have inhabited this planet. So this is the first time in this inhabitation that people are in a position where we have enough of a safety net that we really can move past surviving, and we have the capacity to thrive. But what happens is we have all these people out there that are so bent on keeping us afraid that we stay in survival mode. And so the thriving doesn't happen. And so that's why I write the books that I do, so that people can see, you know, I want them to think about what it is I write about and say, well, you know, maybe I don't have to live my life completely in fear all the time.
Right.
Maybe I don't have to believe what these big establishments tell me. I can choose for myself. But it's not a case of like the anti-vaxxers are just saying, oh, no,
Yeah,
this is all crap. It's stepping back and saying, you know what, I'm seeing people that are becoming extremely ill from this thing. And maybe I need to step back and say, what can I do? Because I'm not alone on this planet.
Right.
There's 7 billion other people that are trying to do this.
Yes, exactly.
And so I need to do what is best for me in supporting myself and the others without creating more crap.
Right. Yeah, I think, you know, let's just get through this already. You know, we've learned the lessons we've learned from it, and some people haven't. And that just kind of means that maybe this particular lifetime of theirs, they're not going to learn any lessons. You know, and for many people, they're going to come back over and over again until, because this is what life is about, to learn and ascend and evolve. And if you're not going to do it in this lifetime, you know, I'm saying, hey, folks, you're coming back to do it all over again. So, you know, so for me, it's like, I may as well get it right this time. So if I do come back, I come back on a more spiritual, intellectual level where I can actually be proactive straight away without having to go through all of the beliefs and the programming and the controlling and the everything else. I can step into my beingness, step into my gifts, step into what I'm meant to be here to do early. And we're seeing that with our indigo children. So, you know, some of our children are so incredibly gifted. And it's the more we actually allow their beautiful intuitive selves to become, and we nurture who they are. Because remember, we're only custodians of our children. We do not own them. We're here to guide them, to nurture them, and allow them to be. You allow them to explore, allow them to understand their own essence. And what part of the problem, I think, with humanity as adults, we have seen so much horrific suppression and abuse of children over a couple of many centuries, but I think most certainly in the last century and a half, a couple of centuries, that has produced very neurotic and insecure and petrified adults. And we need to go back to how we raise our children, how we nurture those children, because the more we nurture them, the better adults there'll be, more creativity we will see, more harmony we will see. But it starts with us. You know, we talk about love and people looking for love. And I want somebody to love. I want somebody in my life. Well, you don't want somebody to complete you. You want someone to complement you. Right? And that means you've got to be the love that you seek. And then that person will match that vibration, and you will complement each other with your loving vibration. We're in that need for that hug, right?
and learn to recognize when you are reaching out in a lower energy.
Yes.
I want love from you, but it's only under my conditions, and this is exactly how I want it to be. That is not love. That we have to take ownership of our own shortcomings first, and not expect other people to heal them for us. We have to do our own healing.
And also to accept who we are, the way we are. The way we look. You know, again, society has told us we're only lovable if we're this, if we're that, or if we're rich, if we're intelligent, if we're thin, if we're white, if we're this, we're that. And it's like, codswallop. That is all marketing. That's somebody selling a product, and they're benefiting off your fear, right? Your insecurity. And whatever size you are, whatever color you are, whatever faith you are, be confident and lovable within yourself. And somebody is going to love you. Many people are going to love you for the essence of who you are, no matter what vehicle your body is.
Yeah, yeah, and that's all that is, because you're the soul.
Yes.
All the other stuff is just the trappings that you chose in order to get the lessons from your life.
Right, exactly. I
And
watched, no, go ahead.
it's how you respond to
Yeah.
the trappings that you have.
Yeah. I watched Avatar again last night.
Oh, I love that movie.
I love that movie. And December 22, the second one is coming out, not soon enough for me. But I mean, you know, the whole time I was watching that, and is that I would so love to be one of them. I would so love to be one of them. The entire way, you know, the entire principle of everything in there is what I believe in. And again, when we look at the evil of man represented there, where it's short-term gain for the few, and it doesn't matter what we destroy in the long term.
Yeah.
And this is the mentality that has got us into this problem right now. And if we don't start changing that thinking, if we stop feeding that thinking, stop voting those people in with that thinking, we could change the tide.
And we have to, or we're going to get kicked off. It's that simple.
Oh yeah, Earth is going, Mama's going to evict us. She's giving us a warning, you know, and she's ready to press that delete button.
They're going to let the kangaroos run the planet.
Exactly. I mean, let's forget it. You know, we think we're the most superior of all creatures on this planet, yet we are the only creatures that are so destructive to this planet.
Absolutely.
So what's superior about that, folks?
Yeah.
And I think, you know, the ego and the narcissism, of which we've seen a great deal of, our ego is driving us. I mean, and that ego is insecurity. That ego is, I just want to be loved. I just want to be popular. I just want to be liked. I just want to be this and that. And in the drive for that, we've forgotten the cost.
Yeah, you see such a rush around here. People are so, you know, it's so expensive to live here, and so people are out there, and their only thing they're concerned about in how they contribute to society is how much money they can make, so that they can have more money and more money and more money. And I'm not against money. We all need to have it.
Yes.
But it's not the primary reason we're here.
No.
But so many people are so caught up in the trappings of having to have a $5 million house and you know, and a Porsche sitting outside, and you know, a condo in Hawaii and all this sort of stuff. And they only get there, well, they probably haven't been there for 2.5 years now because of COVID,
exactly.
but they're still paying the taxes on it and the mortgage, and you know, and they still feel empty.
I know. I can't tell you how many people I've interviewed that were the six-figure people, you know, a big house, big car, big important, and the cosmic 2x4 came along, whackaroo, and it was either heart attack or lose the family or bankruptcy or whatever, and it bottomed them out. And from those ashes they rose like a phoenix into understanding what life was really about, and live more humbly, live a great deal happier, doing something they love, and now they're absolutely enriched and abundant, right, in heart, soul, and spirit, and have enough money to fulfill their lifestyle.
Yes. And they're doing something that contributes to the nurturing of nature, nature and people.
Yes. And it's wonderful to see that, because they literally walked away and they realized, I was a slave to the job. Right. I got caught up in the importance of what everybody's told me was important. And I was utterly miserable, and I completely lost myself. And they had all the signs along the way, and they didn't pay attention to them, because no, that's important. Until the cosmic 2x4 flattened them, and they had to rise up. And it was okay. You know, I have a saying out there right now. It's that 2022, a blank canvas. What are you going to paint on this canvas for this year? Because it's your choice. Right? Paint it as you want to live it.
And part of that painting is to look at the concepts that you live by, and looking at both the positive and the challenging ones, and ask if they're valid.
Yes. I mean, I talk a great deal about meaningful purpose. And the trouble is a lot of words get, hooked onto
Yeah.
and then they lose their meaning. But yes, what is our meaningful purpose?
Yeah.
We all
Yeah.
want to know we're of purpose, that
Yeah.
we count, that whatever our contribution is something that is purposeful, meaningful.
Yeah.
Right? Because when it's meaningful, then we really do feel that, if we step into service, if we step into giving, not giving to receive, but giving to be a part of,
Yeah.
we receive so much back in so many different ways that it
Yeah.
is that wonderful energy flow of give and take and give and take. It's the fuel and the fluidity that
Yeah.
keeps us going.
Yeah.
But we've become takers, not givers.
Yeah.
And that giving nature is really so utterly important.
One of the concepts that came to me with the, excuse me, I channeled the Ascenders,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the concepts that has always been of interest to me in this process is that when you watch television, you watch movies, and I went to see the Eternals. I got stuck in Duncan a few weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
so I went to see the Eternals. I got up and walked out halfway through
Really?
because they still haven't figured it out. Why is it that when a situation happens that is potentially a threatening situation, why do we have to have big guns and whatever
Right.
else, and explosives and whatever?
Yes.
Why does it have to be force against force?
I know. I don't get that.
Yeah.
I don't
So
get that.
my characters in my book, you want to come and do some negative stuff to me, I just project really good positive energy towards you, and you forget that you were ever a bad person.
Right. Did you see Dr. Strangelove?
I have, yeah.
The one part in there that absolutely, I think I almost shouted hallelujah in the theater was when she knocked him out of his body and said, "What do you think you are? Just matter?"
Yeah.
Right. And then he literally starts flying amongst the universe and he realized that he's so much more than the vehicle that he's in.
Absolutely.
And I thought, yes, finally a true representation.
There we
right.
go.
And I loved it. I loved what that kind of, yes, they did resort to the violence per se, but it was about changing the clock back and, facing the evil over and over again until he got tired of it, right? It's
a question that I've asked many times is that, the governments are, up until COVID happened, where we're all so excited about going and shooting each other and declaring war on people and stuff like that. So what would happen if a government declared war and nobody showed up?
This was actually something in a conversation I had in a show yesterday, Charles Sheldon, another author. And, we were talking about the people who have chosen to know nothing.
Yeah.
Right. They're proud of knowing nothing. And they're the people that are really in the angst right now. They're really angry. They're coming with the pitchforks and then they're being met by the force. And it's like, okay, if everybody just put the weapons down and said, I'm willing to hear you.
Yeah.
Are you willing to listen?
Yeah.
Are we willing to have a conversation to diffuse the situation? You're hurting. I recognize that. What is it that you need that's going to make you feel more secure?
Yeah.
But we don't. We meet that violence with violence. What does it beget? More violence. Has anything been resolved?
Nope.
No, zero.
Yeah.
I found it very frustrating. I'm a mother of three. We didn't meet things with violence, so I made them kiss each other when they fought.
It's a big challenge with COVID too, that we're still using that same concept for dealing with COVID.
Yes.
COVID is a living entity, and I'm not saying that people, I could talk to it, you could talk to it, some people can, but to look at COVID and be thankful for what it's done well for us and adjusting our lives, rather than this aggressive behavior of trying to kill this thing.
Yeah.
The one thing I have not heard out there in all the discussions about COVID is we've assumed where the cause of it was, but they're not worried about the cause of it. All they want to do is get everybody vaccinated, because that's the fear mongering of it. We need to go back and look at it and say, okay, what do we need to change? Because the COVID is a vibration.
Yes.
And we need to change the frequency.
And what are the vaccines? They're basically, as the vibration hits the body, the vaccine is saying no entry.
Yeah, that's right.
No
Yeah.
entry.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, as you said, you don't watch the news, but you know what the big thing is my children are half Chinese, and there has been a push against the Chinese, and there's been some horrific things done to ordinary citizens here in Canada,
Yeah.
blaming them for the
Yeah.
COVID, because everybody wants to blame someone. Got to blame someone. Well, let's diffuse the blame and let's look at, okay, what is the core problem? How
Yeah.
can we prevent it from becoming aggressive or taking us over? All
Yeah.
right. Then
Yeah.
we can look at where was the source and go, okay, now we've got to make sure that never happens again.
Yeah.
But taking up the arms and taking up the blame and taking up the anger, you've just opened the door to COVID, because it loves that type of thing.
Yeah. You just perpetuate the problem.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Negativity loves negativity, right?
Yeah.
It's drawn to it.
Yeah.
So how do you meet negativity? You put a shield up of loving positivity. It will bounce off.
Or you rather than a shield, you create such a large amount of positive energy that it pushes forth and causes the negative energy to shift.
And that's when, if we come together, you know, arm in arm.
Yeah.
And I don't believe in ivory towers. I believe in circles. And when we can come together arm in arm in that love for one another, that beautiful energy that's going out there, you know, may the force be with you. It's that force of love.
Yeah.
And it just, whether, you know, I know there are a lot of people that have lived in anger, and I've interviewed a great deal of veterans, and the pretty well the same type of thing is the common denominator with all of them. They've come back feeling discombobulated, right?
Yeah.
They've been trigger happy all the time, alert all the time, seeing people die all the time, you know, angry and post-traumatic stress and everything else. And all they want to do is get to calmness.
Yeah.
Get to a place where they can find some meaning in life again, find some love in life again. And they have been the best people to help other veterans because they understand. And it wasn't the glorifying of the war or the fight. It was the invitation to the peace, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what they sought with one another. And they realized peace was I don't even want to call it a weapon, but the greatest push against hate or war.
They need to be able to diffuse the memories.
Exactly. Exactly.
And the thing, it's important to understand that in diffusing memories, it's the emotion that needs to be diffused.
You don't forget, you stop feeling it.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's the thing. I want to forget. I'm going to suppress it. Suppression, I'm sorry, it's going to manifest its way through dis-ease, body disease or breakdowns or anything else. It's facing it. I know it happened to me. It wasn't right.
Yeah.
Right. I either forgive who made it happen. I let the pain go associated with it. I have so many people who talk about things that have happened to them that are utterly horrific.
Yeah.
And you wonder how they could be still getting up in the morning. It's because they've gone through the process to heal themselves, face the demons, let them go, and they could talk about it without fear and without feeling, because it no longer controls them.
It's called reframing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's become their strength.
Yeah.
Because they discovered the courage and the strength and their abilities by going through the process to realize they were so much more than what happened to them.
Yeah.
But that willingness to go through the process, that's the question, isn't it? People want a quick fix. There is no quick fix. You have to be willing to take the journey through. Not over and around or pay someone else to do it for you. You know, the quicker you immerse yourself in it, the quicker you'll get through it.
And the struggle with the society that we live in is that there are the organizations that want people to stay in that victimhood because it justifies their existence. And then we have the pharmaceuticals that have all these wonderful fixes for you. You got PTSD, I can give you all the drugs you want. It has nothing to do with fixing yourself. It has to do with exactly what you're talking about. You're sublimating the feelings.
Yes. And for them, it's all money. I mean, pharmaceuticals do not want to make you well. They just want to make you dependent.
Yes.
I have fibromyalgia, and one day somebody took me to one of these meetings, and she said, "Don't say anything, Sarah, just listen." And I listened, and the guy that was in charge of it was an ex-drug addict. And his addiction now was other people's pain. And people will go, oh God, that's been so hard this week. It's been, oh, I know, oh God, it must be so difficult. And his whole thing was like this. And eventually I had to say something. And I said, what if we stop looking at the pain and we start looking at what we still have and what we can still do and start loving ourselves and feeding that instead? He looked at me with horror.
Yeah.
Right? Because it was feeding his addiction of the dependency that he had made of these people on him.
Absolutely.
Pharmaceuticals are dependent on us. Politicians are dependent on us being afraid. They'll just come up with a solution enough to keep you feel like they're doing something for you, and then back again into another crisis, right?
Yeah, I get a kick out of watching MeTV, because most of the commercials are about pharmaceuticals, and
Yes.
it's a 30-second commercial, and they spend 20 seconds of it talking about the side effects. That'll likely kill you or put you onto another drug that never fixes anything.
Well, the one that got me was depression hurts. And then the next, as you say, 20 seconds is side effects may cause suicide.
Yeah. So what did you gain?
Why would you take it? Why would you take it? Why would a doctor prescribe it to you? This is, where is the ethics? Yeah. And it's mind-blowing. But people just want to feel good in the moment. Because in the moment they feel good and they don't want to feel bad. And the thing is, you can feel unbad if you're willing to face whatever it is. If you have a physical problem, what nutritionals, what wonderful God-given earth, beautiful grown nutritionals can you take that can feed you so that you are not always in pain, right? Why, if you're in emotional pain, going through that emotion with somebody that's nurturing and guiding and helping you, not go down the rabbit hole, but face it and release it. And then you get through to the other side. But it's that unwillingness to face it and go through it. No, it's just too much. I can't do it. Just give me the pill.
Yeah. In a lot of cases, taking pharmaceuticals is the same thing as taking your car to the gas station and putting the super high octane in instead of regular. Yeah, it didn't do anything for your car. In fact, it could blow up your engine. But it really didn't have any long-term value in what it was doing. It just gets you through the day, maybe.
And goes through your bank account very quickly.
Very quickly.
Very quickly. I think, the big word is accountability. We've all got to be accountable for our own lives. You are not what's happened to you. What's happened to you is for you, to make you stronger, for you to step into your meaningful purpose, to become that source of beautiful energy. The analogy I use is that we're all an instrument. We need to learn what that beautiful instrument is, learn how to play it well, find the orchestra in which to join, create that symphony which invites others to want to pick up their own instrument. But it's about us as individuals being all that we can to help the collective.
Yes. Through the collective, we help ourselves.
Yes. And you say, you channeled the last book, and, channeling, I think, is something wonderful. I've interviewed many authors who have channeled. They've literally just sat down and don't even know what they were writing until it was written, just poured through them. And people say, oh, yeah, I couldn't do that. We all have the capability of channeling. It's just a question of we have to be at peace with ourselves in order to be able to open up that channel and allow it to come through. And I'm a channeler all the time. Virtually everything I do, I allow it to come through me. And it's when you allow it to come through you, and it's not, oh, well, what if it's a demon? Or that? No, it's not open to them.
No, that's right. Yeah.
I have the guardian angels that are protecting me from that. It's what I need to know.
As we all do.
As we all do. It's what I need to know when I need to know it for what I need to know it for. And if we just allow ourselves, again, feel that beautiful knowledge instead of analyzing it with our head, we'll understand what it is we need to know.
And it raises us to a higher level of consciousness.
Yeah. Did you do this with all of your books or just the last book?
Part of Embracing the Blend was channeled. I was DJing for some parties, and they were sitting down having dinner, and I had a piece of paper with me, and I just sat down. There went chapter 2.
Yes,
And
yes.
so it was happening sporadically, but I had pretty much given up on writing books, and partially because they weren't selling well.
Mhm.
Because now I know that you have to market things.
Yes, I know.
So when when the Ascenders started, I was actually I don't know if you know Cheryl Brewster. She's a coach from North Vancouver that does the intuitive life.
No, no, I don't know
So
her.
I was sitting on my couch here and I was chatting with her, and all of a sudden I got this really big pain in my left shoulder, and it felt like an eagle was going like this on my shoulder.
Mm.
And so I got finished with Cheryl, and I sat here and I closed my eyes, and I said, "What do you?" I went to the feeling in my shoulder, and I said, "What is it that you want? What do you want?" And this female voice was just going crazy. She said, "Get on your computer. You're going to write a book. It's called The Ascenders."
Mhm.
And off I went. And so I travel over to Vancouver Island all the time. So I've got basically 2 hours of time to myself.
Right.
I get paid for. And so every time I'd get on the ferry, I'd get up there, get my computer out. I had no idea where the story was going to go.
Yes.
And it just rolled out every time. I was so excited when
Yeah.
I'd get my computer going and away, and then it would stop.
Yeah.
And I put my computer away, and when I get back on the ferry again.
And like, I love interviewing authors. My brother's an author, has been for 50 years or so.
Yeah.
Another person has no idea how to market himself, but fantastic author, very intuitive author. Like his, the world that he takes you into is always multidimensional. But for when he writes, he has kind of a story about this and that, and then it just allows. And the author I had on yesterday, it's allowing the characters to become. Again, not dictating. You have an outline of such and such, and then just in that discovery of who these people are as they come through your fingers on the keyboard. And I think that is when you pick up a book or you watch a story and you go, oh, I can really feel that person, I can really relate to that person. And that it's something that's come through somebody, and it's not calculated, right? It's just allowed for that person to come to life. And it can be very, very exciting to look at and go, where did you come from?
There's a little girl that's a part of the story here, and all the kids in this story are they're orphans from a war zone, and this guy captures them and takes them off to sell them on slavery. Well, the adults that are to do with the story capture these kids and bring them back, and some of them get to go back home to their parents, but they're brought to their facility and they teach them how to reframe themselves and become all they are. Well, this little girl, when in the war zone, these men had come and stolen her from her mom and dad when she was little, and she was so upset about the fact that she couldn't see her mom and dad anymore. She learned how to turn herself into a butterfly. And I get such a rush out of this. And so over the process, when she comes to live at the Matrix, and they discover that she can turn into a butterfly, she goes off and she does butterfly things, but she gets into trouble all the time. And what they start guiding her and helping her to understand, and it's a really big important lesson in life, is that if you are doing the lessons that you are doing in life based on fear, the energy gets sucked out of you, and you'll eventually run out of energy. So what she has to do is she has to keep doing these things. She keeps getting her wings taken away from her because she keeps misbehaving, and finally she gets it. And Charita, the other butterfly, says to her, you have to learn to be powered by love.
Yeah.
When you learn to live in love, there is no limitation. And finally she does. Right. So I've given away a little bit of the story, but
that is the story of life.
Yeah.
It is, love isn't just for a relationship. No. We have a relationship with every aspect of our lives. And when we learn to love life, and we share that love unconditionally, without any dictation or expectation, and just be the love we seek, then we truly actually understand the enrichment and the abundance of life, what we're here for, and what life is all about. It's in the beautiful, simple things.
Yeah. Yeah. And the biggest key to those simple things is called nature.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Don't bend down and pick up the plant, just bend down and fondle the plant and look at it and make sure it's not poison ivy.
Right.
You know, look at the essence of that plant, and it's really neat if you learn about what plants are for, and you know, the medicinal values of them and so on, and you start to realize the connection we have with nature and how important that is to our own health on all levels.
And stop looking at everything as predators. You know, I was walking in Monty Park, which I don't know if you know, in Coquitlam, with my dog. And there's a big white rock there. And we were maybe 15 feet away. My dog was on this side of the white rock, and there's something black came from the other side. And I called my dog back, and she came to me, fortunately, put her on the leash, told her to sit and be calm. And the bear came from underneath around the rock, and it stood there looking at us. And I just spoke to it. Thank you for letting us walk in your forest. You are beautiful. You are graceful. And I just carried on talking to it very softly, and the dog was extremely calm, and the bear finally went on. And then she kind of sniffed around, right? And she was fine. About a year or so later, I was living in Northan, and a bear came right up to the window. And my dog was on this side of the window, and I said, just be calm, and she was calm. Then I realized as the bear was about to walk around, my door was open. So I rushed to go and close my door before it came for tea. And then as it went down the driveway, the dog then went ballistic, you know, kind of stepped into defense and this and that. But I wasn't a threat to the bear, nor was the dog. I was at the vet's one time when somebody rushed in with their dog saying they'd been mauled by a bear. Could have gone after the bear.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the thing is we go, you know, which doesn't mean treat everything airy-fairy. Yes, there are danger. You know when that is. Those are those instincts that come up and go, something's not right here. Right. But you can always defuse a situation.
By
you don't
projecting
have
positive energy.
Without having to go for the weapon.
Yeah.
Right. Because
absolutely.
You know, the force is with you. I'm a Star Wars fan. You know, these are not the droids that you want. I was living in South Africa, in Johannesburg, which was a very violent city at the time. And I was working in a restaurant. We worked until 3, 4, 5 in the morning, and I would walk back, and this road would be a one-way up, and these cars would stop. Want to go for a party? I'm not the girl you're looking for. And okay, and off they would go. And it worked every time but one, where this guy literally reversed, following me all the way back to my apartment. And I realized he was high, or, you know, very, very drunk. I think high, actually. And there was no penetrating that shield, right? He wouldn't have seen anything. And then that was run, get out of it, because sometimes that's what you have to do. But most of the time it was, like I was in Washington, D.C. back in 77. I took a wrong turn, and I lived in South Africa for many years. And I stopped to ask these guys, you know, the route back onto the highway. And all of a sudden the chains came out. And these guys were all tough and everything. And I thought, okay, I mustn't let my South African accent come out, go back into my British accent because I'm from Britain. And I just played the ditzy British blonde who was lost. Could you guide me? And all of a sudden they are literally guiding me back to the highway. I get home, and I'm living with a historian woman. I'm managing her house for room and board. She has a friend there who is a cop. He goes, you were where? You did what? He said, the police don't even go down there. How did you do it? And I said, I wasn't a threat. I appealed to their senses to help me.
Yeah.
And they wanted to help. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to work all the time. But I do believe that if you project the fear, they're immediately on guard.
Yeah.
Right. So it's worked for me. And it's because I hate confrontation.
Yeah. Yeah. And people need to recognize that when they feel that fear, to do exactly what you did was to shift it.
Yes. Yes. Why do people go on guard? You know, because they feel something. So if you're afraid, they're going to be afraid. And it goes with an animal. You see an animal immediately, hackles go up. They're picking something up. and it's an unknown, but it feels afraid. If you diffuse that with calmness, okay, I don't need to be afraid. So, again, it doesn't work with people that are extremely high or very drunk because they haven't got senses to tap into. But
that's when it pays to have Harry Potter's invisibility cloak.
yes, or the wand, or no, the broom. I want the broom.
Okay, yeah.
Especially with gas going up, I want that transportation. Thank you.
That's right. Get yourself a 2022 Quidditch broom.
Yes. Oh, the Star Trek just gone, right? Yeah. And I think that's why we have such a fascination with things like Harry Potter and Star Wars and Star Trek and everything else, is because it takes us to worlds that we long to understand or to feel that there is more out there, right? And there is so much. To think that we are the only Homo sapiens in the world or in the universe, I think is very arrogant. And there's been so many lifetimes before, so many existences before, that the more we are open up to receiving that, I think the more we have the divine intellect rather than just the academic intellect.
Absolutely. Yeah, the academic is a tool. It's not meant to as a door closer.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's where we've become trapped in the last 100 years, is that the emphasis has been on the academic, and people have forgotten how to tap into the beautiful divine intuitive wisdom.
Yeah.
And because that's knowledge, where's the wisdom in knowing how to use the knowledge?
Absolutely.
Right? We're all capable of it, aren't we?
Yeah,
every single one of us. It's just a question of getting into the heart, soul, and spirit set, and not the mindset. But the mind has to give permission.
Yeah, and be willing to make some mistakes.
Oh gosh, yes.
I'm really good at it.
Oh yeah, no, I believe failure is when you give up and don't do anything.
Yeah.
If you fall down 100 times, but you keep getting back up, that's just redirects and lessons.
Yeah.
Right? Don't be afraid to learn.
Yeah.
You'll get it right one day. Promise. Or you realize, maybe this isn't the path for me. I need a redirect. Yeah. Be willing to explore. I think that we are creatures who are very wondrous. We love adventure. We love exploration. We love what is out there. And if we're willing to take that in our own lives, and again, don't dictate what we want to know, but allow what's out there to be taught to us, it really is beautiful, isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
So when you're on your truck driving, I know I love driving. I don't have music on.
Me too.
I just allow whatever I see, or the thoughts. I'm just in flow. Does the story of your books come to you then, or are you just engaged in the moment of what's around you?
It depends, because my drives are pretty long. And so I'll go through a lot of different things. I've actually got book 2 is written now, and it's in the editing stage, and book 3 is a third written already, and a lot of that comes out of that time of just being in that zone of sitting in the truck. And if I do play music, it's generally Celtic instrumentals or something like that doesn't require singing to it. And I just go along, and this information just comes in, and so the idea comes, and then I sit down, and it starts it flows as I'm writing it. And these days I'm not so busy, so I get up 5 o'clock in the morning, sit in bed with my computer, and another chapter of the story shows up.
Right. Yes. I've had people nagging at me for my book, and I've had various people, I want your book to be this, and I want your book to be that. And it's like, I keep trying to do it, and then something comes up, and I think, is it procrastination? And no, it's this, I can't write it like that.
Yeah.
It's
not the nature of the book.
It's not the nature of who I am like that. So instead, it's actually going to be, because I've always believed my angel self has been trying to help my human self become more connected. So it's actually going to be from my angel's perspective of what I've gone through in life, and it trying to guide me. I'm going, oh boy, what you got into now? So I think
the angel's going, I didn't know I was picking such a big job.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the only way I can get through it, because people want me to share my stories, And it's like, been there, done that. Why do you want to know? But I think if it's coming through the humor of an angel, then I think it's different. So we have to listen to that gut feeling, don't we?
Yeah.
When it, when
Yeah.
when, all right, you want that, but not that way. It has to be some way that then opens up the doors for you and things come flooding in, and then you'll know it's right. Yeah.
And you have to be willing to take the time to go into the silence.
Yes.
Yeah, I know people, they get into their vehicles and they drive for hours, and it's as fast as they can. They're
Yeah.
changing the CDs and
Yes.
playing it really loud. And
Yes. Yeah. I love silence.
no, me too.
And I love walking amongst the trees with the rustle of the leaves. I love listening to the water. I love being in the water. I fortunately can float. So I just lie there on the water as it just ripples underneath me. Oh, it's wonderful.
Good. Well, you
Except
have to
for
come
right
over one
now.
day and you have to come over one day and we'll walk the Fort to Fort Trail.
Yeah, very, very nice. And I mean, yeah, the certain drives, are just industrial, and they're not very, but anytime you're driving through things where there's, the winding and the turning and the trees and the views and the this, and of course the island is beautiful, isn't it? It's absolutely beautiful to drive on. You become so engaged with what's around you. And I think that's something we're missing as human beings. We've forgotten how to be engaged and be present, with where we're at, and allow that to feed you and nurture you, because we're so busy tuning it out instead of tuning it in.
That's why I'm a long distance walker. I've done the Camino Frances in Spain twice.
Wow.
It's 500 miles. And one of the reasons why I choose to walk is because I want to be able to stop. Oh, look at that plant there.
Yes.
And look at that plant and see if I can identify it, and see if it has an odor to it, if it has any consequence to it, and just to enjoy how it fits into the nature of where it is. You can't do that if you're running or driving.
Right. And everybody's kind of then expecting a, oh, and it isn't, it's just,
Well, except when I find something to eat.
Right. Oh, yes, especially if it's kind of foreign food and something new, and oh, this is delicious. Yes, I love that. I used to travel a great deal, not now, but back in the day, I loved it. I loved exploring new places, new countries, new cultures, and it was just, it's like you were stepping into a different orchestra every time. And it was
absolutely.
and the music of life, and the vibe of life around you, and especially the Mediterranean countries, because they're really in tune. It was wonderful.
Well,
And
Spain is number one for me.
I love Spain. Italy, and Greece were my favorites when I was traveling, but that was back then. And now I go back to England because I still have relatives there, and I don't go anywhere else, but I'd like to. One day, right?
One day.
One day.
One day.
Right now, nothing stops me from traveling up into the universe. I can do that anytime, anywhere, and anybody can.
Well, you're an ascender then.
Oh, I'm an ascender. I'm a dimensional traveler. I'm constantly living in different planes. Yes, absolutely. And I do believe that we have the abilities, maybe if not kind of dimensional living, but to be in tune. Each one of our instruments is a gift to us of how to use our beautiful divine presence. And it's, if we could stop trying to analyze it, justify it, or understand it, and just be it, all of that will come to be, won't it?
That's right. That's correct.
Are you an ascender yourself?
Of course.
Yes.
We're pretty slow at getting it there, but we're doing it.
Right. I was a child that was very, very sickly. So I spent many, many weeks and months in my room on my own, or get lunch, dinner, and breakfast and things like this, otherwise on my own, and blank walls, and of course no TV or radio or anything at that time. And so off I went, and I used to play with dead people and go into different things, and I have memories today, and then I realized, oh no, I haven't done that in this lifetime. I've done it in a different dimension, and it is just giving me kind of a full life experience by being willing to go into other planes.
Well, it makes, when you're on the mundane or conscious level, it makes it much wider.
Yes.
That you look at something that's happening and you realize that there's more to what's going on than what we can visibly see.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And sometimes you got to look at that part that you can't see in order to find out what the real answer is.
Right. And sometimes seeing it from a totally different dimension can help you see it more clearly. Absolutely.
Yes. Just don't fall out of the cloud. That's all.
Right. I've done that a couple of times. But you know, it's you know, my bird is actually a phoenix eagle, and they once managed to catch me. I'm a one that does fly up there and burns and then comes back down. You know, it is the who I am. And I think kind of recognizing what is your energy.
Yeah.
What is your divine energy? How do you use it? You use it your way, I use it my way. How do you use your energy? What is it designed for? Because we're all given a particular energy for a particular purpose. And if we can tap into that, then we can really, really expand on that beautiful energy and why it's here for you.
Yeah, and that's part of the motivation for why I write too, is because a lot of the issues that we have, particularly health issues, are because we're absolutely determined not to express our divine self.
Yeah.
There are so many diseases that like diabetes is a prime example of it. Diabetes is not expressing the joy of life.
Yes.
So you want to get over diabetes, find some joy in your life.
Yeah. The dis-ease of one's equilibrium, all right, of denying oneself the inner joy will bring about disease of the body.
Yes.
Right. Cancer being one as well, at least 80%, an emotional disconnected disease.
Absolutely.
And, you know, and what we do, we go again to the pharmaceutical rather than going to why is this happening? What's the core reason for it? What do I need to do to heal myself? You may need some aid with medicine along the way, right? You can partner it up together, but don't give yourself over without taking some responsibility of your own self-healing.
Yes. My understanding of disease is that you basically have you have the physical energy, the mental energy, the emotional energy, and the spiritual energy, and the disease starts in the spirit realm, which is a very high frequency, and it gradually saturates and becomes a higher or lower energy until it gets to the point where finally you'll go, hi, I have this problem, I need to deal with it. And if you don't do it, it sinks into the physical and you get it. So in the healing process, you have to go back the other way until you finally clear it at the spirit level.
Again, our chakras, you know, it's like if you're suddenly craving certain color foods, it's very often that chakra is needing to be fed, right?
That's true. I'm really glad there isn't a black chakra.
Right. True. Or chocolate one.
No, I'd be good with the chocolate one.
I know I would be way too good with the chocolate one. But I actually did have somebody on who is the clairvoyant what is it? The clairvoyant chef, and she actually it's the foods that you eat and the colors of how they feed the various chakras. And you know, we forget about that. Oh, chakras, you know, got to feed I got to open them up. But it's like, what are you doing to feed them? And if we're craving something, why? You know, if you're craving sunshine, you know, if you're craving warmth or orange, or, you know, it's like maybe that particular chakra is at the present time feeling a little low and you need to feed it. So, and all we have to do is visualize it, right? Visualize it in some beautiful, loving energy.
So if you're not feeling powerful, eat a carrot.
Yes. Eat a carrot anytime. They're good for you. I love carrots. The thing is, there is always a solution. There is always an answer.
Yes.
Going back to the fear and the beliefs. Oh, I have cancer. It's the end of me. Right? I've known people. They've got cancer. They've died from the diagnosis long before they died from the disease.
Yeah.
Right? They gave up. They got panicked. They got fearful. Instead of, okay, why do I have cancer? What do I need to do to change my life? How do I heal this? Using maybe conventional medicine and alternative medicine and my own mind, heart, and soul into this equation to cure this cancer. And we have that power within us. It's your choice.
Yeah, absolutely. We just have to do it.
We just have to do it. And we have to look at those beliefs and go, whose are they? I know I've got certain tendencies where I go, oh God, there's mother talking. And my mother was somebody that she was a dramatic actress, and very often the life stage was her, her drama. And martyrism was a big one. And very often my kid, Mom, you're being the martyr, you're being mother, And I realized, oh, you get into a pattern. And you do that if you're feeling a little insecure or wobbly, and you go, okay, all right, time to recharge or time to regroup, and let yourself know you don't want to go there because it doesn't serve you. And so if somebody points it out, don't come back at them for it. Go, okay, all right, shift, right? Pivot to the left or the right, whatever it is, to shift. So your book titles, give us your book titles and also where people can find them.
Okay. We got this straight away. Okay, this is the book that we've been talking about today. This is called The Ascenders, Return to Grace, Book 1, and it's currently only available on Amazon. However, I'm trying to rectify that. It is already. I've published it through Ingram Sparks. So if you don't have it at your local bookstore, ask for it. They'll bring it in. They can bring it in through Ingram Sparks. The first book that I wrote, this is the second version of it. This is Embracing the Blend. Now, the byline of this book was what kind of motivated me to write the book. We are born in safety, and then we're trained out of it. And then later on, as I was writing the book, a third line came into it. So now it says, you are born into safety and then trained out of it. Now is the time to return. And so that's what this book is about, core beliefs, about how they develop, how they process in your life, and how to recognize them, and how to do something about them.
Right.
And that's a really important aspect of it, and understanding the difference between protective safety and true safety. Protective safety is coping. Right. Yes. Whereas if we're living in alignment with our truth, we can live in true safety. And that's where this book, if you go on Amazon and look for The Power of Safety, it doesn't have this cover anymore. Basically, the story of this book, it's taken from chapter 2 in Embracing the Blend. And what it does is it explains to you how to take yourself from the protective safety into true safety by using visualizations. In this particular book, there's a CD in the back of it that this is that. Remember that old technology called CD?
Yes. Well, now everything's download. Yeah. And that's stamp out the stress, folks. Yeah.
Yeah. The visualizations are on my website, which is montyrritchings.com. And you can listen to them there. And I have some other information on there that are also about the process. Because to me, if you're going to do the process of learning to grow, you have to be practical about it. Right. And in order to be practical, you need tools. And that's what I provide people with, is concepts of what life is about and what's happening and what you can do about it. And so by having tools like these visualizations, we were talking about PTSD there. If you know how to take the emotion out of the trauma, you could deal with the trauma because it's now a picture.
Exactly. It is a has-been, and it isn't a happening.
That's what one of the visualizations does in there, is it teaches you how to take the emotion out of it. It's very easy. You just got to know how to do it. Right. And the other visualization is how to bring energy into your body, because we run on universal energy. Yes. But if our crown chakras are closed and whatever else is closed, we can't operate fully, and we need to be able to do that. Right. Yeah. And the other books, do you have any of your other books there? I don't have any other. The other ones have never actually been printed in paperback, and that's one of my jobs for 2022 is to bring them up. And I'm going to be offering them on other platforms than Amazon. But right now, everything's available on Amazon. I have the Healthy Children Only Need 3 Things, which is the book you get for free if you buy The Ascenders. I'll send you the PDF copy of that. And I have another one called Chakras Demystified. I explain about the importance of understanding how we really communicate through all the different chakras and what the chakras mean and all that sort of stuff. And then my only non-metaphysical book is called The Joy of Walking and Walking and Walking. And you can guess where I got that one from.
Perhaps you might have been doing a little bit of walking while you were doing that.
Bit, yes. 37 days the first time I walked the Camino Frances in Spain.
Wow. Right.
And then I went back and did it again 2 years ago. And that was only 5 years ago. So I was 64 and 66 when I did them.
Bravo to you. Bravo.
And if we get rid of this damn COVID, I could go do another one.
Exactly. Well, there's a lot of beautiful places to walk in BC, right?
Yes,
but maybe not as long, true. Would you spell your name for people who are listening so they know which site to go to?
Okay. My first name is Monty, and my last name is Ritchings.com. Yeah, and so it's MontyRitchings.com. Yeah.
And of course, you have videos, which of course all the people have to do is just come to selfdiscoverymedia.com and put in your name and your show comes up. And so we have your site, we have your videos, we have your Facebook, which is called something different, the Ascension Project.
The Ascension Project, and this is a fairly new project. And the reason I created this page was because I want people that feel that they are part of the Ascension process to come to my site and become part of it and tell us, what are you doing? What are you doing to help people evolve? And invite other people to help you to do that. Because
and the more people share, the more people learn, and the more they realize they're not alone and that we're all in it together.
Yes, and as long as you continue to believe that you're alone in the Ascension Project, you ain't ascending.
Right, exactly.
It's a community affair.
Right, and I'm all for community. Definitely.
Absolutely.
The village, right? The village, absolutely. Everybody coming together. And of course, you're on Instagram and LinkedIn under your own name.
Yep. Yep.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
This has been delightful. I could talk to you for much longer. You know, you drive a truck for a living. And yet you've written all these books, and a lot of people think that in order to be an ascender, you know, you've got to be kind of the hippie and the kumbaya and far out there, man, and all of that type of thing. And it just shows that anybody is capable of doing any of this, you know, igniting their energy, ascending into a different plane, channeling, opening up. We're all capable of doing that. It's just that we've got to be willing to go through the process and do a little work in order to get there, in order to be open, right?
It's recognizing no matter what you're doing, you know, it doesn't matter if you're going to the bathroom.
Right.
It's recognizing what your attitude toward it is, and recognizing that when you have an attitude that doesn't serve purpose, change it.
Yes. Oh gosh. You know, an attitude of gratitude will get you far.
Yeah, yeah. Just one last thing before we go. A few weeks ago, I was over on the island, and I've been reading a book from another lady that lives in Langley. Her name is Karen McGregor, and she has written a book called The Tao of Influence. And when I do the island run, I have a straight run from Courtenay, which is in the north end of the island, all the way to Victoria. So I'm 2.5 hours of just booting it so I can get back to the ferry. And I'm growling away at the other traffic, and they're getting in the way, and I'm hitting red lights. So I was just getting off the ferry one day, and I was reading this part in Karen's book, and she says, take a look at how your attitude is in the moment, and make the choice to be at peace. So as I got off the ferry, I said, you know what, I'm doing this today. I am choosing the most peaceful, happy, positive day I could possibly ever have. I never had one person mess around with me on the road that day, and I hit practically every green light.
Right, exactly.
Just because I changed my attitude.
Yeah, it's like finding a parking spot, isn't it? It's that, you know, when I've got these people on the Malahat, which go single lane and double lane and single lane because you're going through the mountain, and it's like they're right on your backside, and it's like, oh, give me a moment, I'll move over, let you go. You know, you're clearly in a bigger hurry than I am, even though I'm doing 100 or more. You know, you're more in a hurry than I am, and just let you go. You know, and it's that, don't look at things with the angst. Don't create an anger, because then anger loves to exasperate, you know, loves to just to grow. So don't feed it, and you don't give it any power. So
that's right. That's exactly
this has been wonderful having you here, love. Thank you so much for sharing everything. And folks, please get the book. I'm very much a believer in book clubs. You have the Facebook area that people can you could do a book club by Zoom if you can't do it physically. Read a chapter, then come back and share. What did you learn from it? What was your experience? Because we learn from each other's experience and we encourage each other along the way. And we're there to support one another. As I'm also an advocate for podcast clubs as well, of listening to a podcast and then talking about it afterwards. The point is, get together with other people and share, because there's so much to learn through that experience. So please go to his Facebook and just the Ascension Project on Facebook, read the books. He's got so many there, and please take him up on his gift. You get the Ascenders and you get the beautiful book on the children as well. And you can just reach out to him on lifeforcecreative@gmail.com for that. And very, very generous of you. But folks, we're all in this together. We're all going to get through it together, but you yourself have got to step into your beautiful divine self to bring yourself to that collective energy. So
That's right.
Thank you, Monty. And until
Thank
next
you,
time,
bye-bye.
Bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show right here on selfdiscoverymedia.com. Please tune in to our selfdiscoverymedia.com/shows, and you will see all the other genres that we have from you. Every week on Tuesday, we bring you new shows from illuminating people. If you know someone that should be interviewed, please contact us at info@selfdiscoverymedia.com. Now stay tuned for your next show.